We made it. Episode 100. And I'm still pregnant.
I didn't think we were going to get here, to be honest with you.
We were supposed to record last week, and I was just feeling some kind of way.
This was why we built in a pre-recorded episode. If you haven't listened to our Swingers episode with Robbie, please do.
Yes. And we made it. We made it here to episode 100. I'm Erin.
I'm Tom.
And this is Baby's First Watch List, the podcast ready to take a break from podcasting in order to double the chaos in our lives.
Baby's last watch list. No, I'm kidding. No, we're going to be back. If you didn't know already, we're going to be coming back with like season-long outputs in the next few months, sometime in the fall, where we pick a topic. We'll do like 6 to 8, something like that, movies on that topic. We're going to have more guests and all that. So it's going to be great.
A few more built-in breaks too. We need it.
Yeah, I'm excited for our next chapter.
Me too.
We wanted to get here, and I think that this movie, Popstar, Never Stop, Never Stopping, is a great endpoint because we are never going to stop, never stopping. But it's also because this kind of brings it full circle for us in a lot of ways because this is a movie that you introduced to me.
Yes.
Then we've introduced to a lot of our friends.
Yes, and family members.
And we've bonded a lot like over this movie with a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And we actually started this podcast in part because our friends were like, hey, you guys should like record your movie conversations. Mm-hmm. And I think this movie is one of the reasons why this podcast exists.
I love that. And this is one of my favorite movies. It's 2016's Popstar, Never Stop, Never Stopping. And it is our 100th episode.
It is.
I considered it one of my top 3 movies of all time.
It's up there for me, legit. Every time it gets better.
I think it's number 2.
Behind School of Rock?
Yeah. And before The Room.
Which was our
I'm not even kidding.
School of Rock was our second episode ever.
Yeah.
And now this is our 100th.
I love it. This is a mockumentary musical comedy. It was directed by stars of the movie too, Jorma Taccone and Akiva Schaffer. You may recognize their names. They wrote the movie with their Lonely Island partner and the lead of the film, Andy Samberg. The Lonely Island is a trio that grew up together. 3 like close friends from childhood.
They were style boys for life.
They were. And they ended up becoming really famous from their digital shorts on Saturday Night Live. Since then, they have made movies, done things together, done things separately, and including the movie Hot Rod.
Yes, which is another good one.
Which is a good one. Not as good as this one.
I like this one better.
But the highs are high for
Hot Rod. Yeah, Hot Rod's wild.
There's a couple scenes that I could not stop laughing.
Wasn't Ian McShane the dad?
Yeah, he was so good.
Who he like fights with?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hot Rod's great.
Hot Rod's great, especially the part where he falls for 90 seconds straight.
Down the hill, yeah.
Yeah, or the
riot.
The riot.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. So definitely recommend Hot Rod. Yeah, they do a bunch of different things. I know that Akiva Schaffer's very involved in Tim Robinson's show. I think You Should Leave. Mm-hmm. Andy Samberg, most people know from Saturday Night Live being
Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
At Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and he was in a whole bunch of movies.
That's My Boy with Adam Sandler. Everyone saw that.
You can't beat it. Palm Springs, they all were involved in.
Palm Springs was definitely a serious one, not like That's My Boy.
Yep. And then Jorma Taccone, I think his directorial debut was MacGruber.
Okay.
Which is also a good movie.
Which is also an SNL movie.
Yeah. So they do a whole bunch. And all of their wives are involved in the industry in some way, shape, or form. Jorma's wife, Mariel Heller, is a very famous director. She did
Can You Ever Forgive Me?
Can You Ever Forgive Me? And Won't You
Be My Neighbor or A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood.
Whichever one had Tom Hanks in it and wasn't the documentary.
Yes. It's A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood.
Okay. So produced by names like Judd Apatow, Popstar boasts an insane cast. You have your 3 from the Lonely Island being your big 3. But then you have Tim Meadows, Sarah Silverman, Joan Cusack, Maya Rudolph, Chris Redd. And then you have a lot of people that are cameos or that play themselves.
So many people
that like I couldn't even begin to name them. You have Oscar winners, Grammy winners, just tons and tons of people. And honestly, if you haven't seen the movie, I wouldn't want to name all of them because some of the best things are the surprise cameos. to me.
For sure.
Like when Ringo Starr pops up. You're
Yeah,
like,
he's early on.
yeah.
Well, we're definitely going to get into some of them because
Yeah, for
there's
sure.
some notable ones for sure, including Ringo.
The movie was released on June 3rd, 2016.
Wow, we're recording this on June 2nd,
Yep.
2014, almost the 8-year anniversary of
That's
Popstar.
right.
Wow.
And it was a huge box office bomb.
Yeah.
In fact, like it performed way below expectations, kind of like Conquest.
Yeah, which is Connor
Connor's
for Real's second album.
After Thriller also. And it eventually made $9.5 million, a loss on its original $20 million budget. There is a silver lining, though. It did way better critically. I think it's at a 79% on Rotten Tomatoes. People say that like it gets close to This Is Spinal Tap in the mockumentary music kind of thing, and I think it's just as good. I love this movie. I mean, I love This Is Spinal Tap too. Mockumentaries are some of my favorite movies. Theater Camp we just watched,
Theater
which
Camp
is
was
great. Christopher Guest's Best in Show is so good. There's so many good mockumentaries.
Well, it kind of gave
there.
rise to that whole like Office.
Yeah, and of course
show.
I like The Office and I love Parks and Rec, but I would suggest taking a look at some of the well-known mockumentaries that are kind of created that genre.
Totally.
And that are continuing to kind of push it forward, because it's good stuff in there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of opportunity for kind of a meta take on a certain subject. You just get a lot of good comedy from it. So highly recommend that. A soundtrack was released, which is
It sure was.
and it's fantastic.
Yeah. I listened to it.
We do
twice
listen
this
to
week.
it. Yeah. and any song that's featured in this movie, there's a full-length song.
There are 28 songs and the album is 49 minutes.
Yeah, they're short songs, but there are full songs for each thing that you hear, and even some of the songs are literally just like playing in the background a little bit, and then if you listen to the soundtrack, it is a full song.
Yes, it is.
It's truly, this movie was done with a lot of love.
Well, yeah, I was watching a video and the three of them were talking about how basically like they had like song ideas and they were like, how are we gonna make a movie out of this? And then they were watching a lot of like the Katy Perry documentaries and like the Beyonce documentaries, and they were like, a lot of these are so like fluffy, like they're good, but they're so obviously from the perspective of the person's camp.
Yeah.
So they were like, why don't we do that with somebody who's just terrible? Like somebody who is like totally lost their way, but is like a good person at heart, but is just totally gone off the deep end in like celebrity culture and all that.
I love it.
And that's kind of where it came from. But it came from this like kind of, they had some ideas for songs first before they did that. And then I think it was Akiva Schaffer was like, I was talking to Judd Apatow and he actually pitched something like this to me. And then I was like, yeah, we've already been talking about this. So that's perfect.
Yeah.
And so they kind of like just gelled right together.
And you can tell because it has now gained quite a cult following over the past almost 8 years.
At least two of us.
And we praise at the gospel of Popstar, never stop, never stopping.
Without a doubt.
And
these are my hymns and homilies.
in fact, I am ready. I think it's time that we do our Halloween costume for our family.
Yeah.
Where we'll have three
three
you,
Style
and
Boys.
the oldest will be the Style Boys, and then our baby can be Maximus the turtle.
Yeah.
We can make that work.
Absolutely.
So that's what I've got on Popstar Never Stop, Never Stopping. Just a little brief overview on it. I think it's iconic that it's a bomb.
Oh, yeah.
And
especially because it didn't ruin anybody's career.
no. Oh, no.
They're all still around. They're all still doing stuff.
They're doing great. And something, I always like this movie because, yes, I did watch it by myself the first time.
And you felt like you discovered, you know what I mean?
But, and I felt like I was the person who found this movie, basically.
Yeah.
And I will say this, I did want to see it in theaters, but I could not figure out a way to go see it in theaters. I would have been, I would have made the difference in whether it was a bomb or not. But this is my claim to fame of like, I was the one that found this movie out of all of my family and friends.
Do you want to know what the tagline for this movie is?
Yeah.
There was none.
That's, I love
Never
that.
stop, never stopping.
Yeah.
A quick little synopsis if you have not seen the movie, or if you just need a refresher because it's been 8 years since you saw it on opening night. When his new album fails to sell records, pop and rap superstar Connor For Real, played by Andy Samberg,
Whose name is Connor Friel.
yes,
That's his name.
yes, goes into a major tailspin and watches his celebrity high life begin to collapse. He'll try anything to bounce back, anything except reuniting with his old rap group, the Style Boys, which is him, Akiva Schaffer, who is Lawrence,
Who is Kid Brain.
Kid Brain, and Yorma Taccone, who is Kid Contact, and his name is Owen. And yeah, that's the crew. That's it.
It's
That's the Style Boys. And then we get like literally hundreds of people that you recognize
It's crazy.
floating in and out of the movie.
So one of my questions here, we do have our main characters. You've got Connor, you have Owen and Lawrence, and then and so Connor, is like the kind of like the Justin Bieber, kind of like a
lot of it comes off of Justin Bieber.
Mixed with some Justin Timberlake, who is in the movie.
He is.
Because it's like, he left and went solo, kind of thing.
Yep.
And then definitely
a little Zayn too.
Little Zayn action going on. Although I don't know if he had left One Direction by
Didn't
then.
Simon Cowell in the movie say?
Oh yeah.
I could have had One Direction together for another 20 years or whatever.
Yeah,
So
I guess
something
you're
like
right.
that. I'm pretty sure it was after.
And so he's the main guy. Owen is his kind of steadfast friend, the only friend throughout the whole time. Connor has a lot of yes people around him.
He does.
And Owen is the one guy who's like, he's been there for him.
And in fact, he does test that when he makes him the pancakes with the poop in it.
That's right. And so he's Connor's like ride or die friend, And then you've got Lawrence, who is disillusioned with everything, goes off onto a farm.
Well, and the reason for that, just for clarity's sake, is that there was a song that blew Connor up, and it was called "Turn Up the Beef," and it was on a song with, I forget the character's name, but she's played by Emma Stone. For like, you see her in the movie for like
It's
10
like
seconds.
Claudia Cantrell or something.
Yeah, I think that is actually it. And then, so he has this verse where the entire verse, it's like a feature. It's just random catchphrases.
Well, there's one of my questions. What was your favorite catchphrase from the Catchphrase Verse?
Oh man, I don't know. What's yours?
I love DJ
That's
Tanner.
the exact one I was thinking of. That's the exact one I was thinking of.
And moped music.
Moped music is so great too.
And Dilbert is good.
Dilbert.
Yeah.
We disavow Dilbert though.
Oh my god.
Yeah, no, those are some of the best. I like 100 gift baskets.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Yeah, a lot of those are really, really good. Patrick Stewart money.
Oh yeah, that's good too.
And that's like making fun of like DJ Khaled and like that whole area of music.
DJ Tanner. So he does the catchphrase verse. He blows up at the Poppies, which are probably like the VMAs.
They're not the Grammys.
Definitely not the Grammys.
No way.
No. And so Lawrence gets mad. That breaks the band up even more.
And he becomes a farmer. And kind of leaves the business.
Yes. And then you have all of the people kind of in the industry.
In the orbit.
Tim Meadows is Connor's Harry. He is Connor's manager, was the Style Boys manager, and he was in Tony.
So he's a guy that was like part of the industry and sort of did his thing, didn't really become a major star, and now is like producing for people and managing people.
Right.
And yes, his claim to fame was that he was the fourth member of Tony.
Sarah Silverman is also
she's their PR person.
Yeah.
Or Connor's PR person.
She's great in this. Joan Cusack is Connor's mom.
Who is also great
Unhinged.
in this. She's in like 2 scenes.
Maya Rudolph is in like a scene and like an eighth.
She's the representative of Aquaspin, who is the company that is like sponsoring Connor's second album.
Which is sort of like a U2 thing where like U2 had their new album put on all of the iPhones.
Yeah.
He
did it through like
washing machine,
appliances, refrigerators, and it all hit all at the same time when the album dropped, and just there was a massive blackout.
Yeah. Chris Redd plays a Tyler the Creator like character, Hunter the Hungry, who is an up and coming guy that Connor gets on his tour
to kind of boost ticket sales because he's like the hot new guy.
And then you've got just like tons
Imogen
of
Poots.
other. Imogen Poots is is Ashley Wednesday, who is his PR romance.
Yeah.
Which is like very obviously a PR romance.
She says like, I grew up idolizing these people that were like, you couldn't even tell if they liked each other, and paparazzi was all around them, and the media was always like, do they even like each other? I always grew up wanting to be one of those couples.
And it's so good because like she is nowhere in the movie, like
Not
in
at all.
Connor's actual life.
Only when he needs some sort of PR.
Yeah, it's so good. So out of those characters, maybe, and then we could do like the cameos of like the extras. Who's your favorite character?
It's Harry. It's Tim Meadows.
He is a very underrated character, I think. In a very underrated movie.
Listen, I love Connor. I love Owen. They're up there
they're
for
wonderful.
me. Lawrence is good too, but he's not really fun enough throughout most of them. He's supposed to be like the straight man kind of.
Yeah.
But to me, it's Tim Meadows. Maya Rudolph has a couple moments. She's got a couple great.
Why is Deborah here?
Joan Cusack has a couple great moments.
She's great. Mom's first.
Chris Redd is wild.
Yeah, he's great.
But to me, it's Tim Meadows.
Yeah, me too.
He's just in everything I see him in. I just love him.
Me too.
He's like one of my favorite comedy character actors. I like when he fights Hunter at the end too.
And then he turns and he's like, "Oh my god, did you see that?"
Yeah, he's like puffing out his chest. He slaps Hunter, and then he comes over to Connor, and he's like, "That was crazy, wasn't it?"
I really, really like Harry in this movie because he is so likable, and you can tell that he does have Connor's best interest at heart,
and he clicks with the three of them.
And he clicks with the three and you can just tell that he feels like he is sort of a surrogate father figure for Connor and for these young guys as they're getting older.
Well, he gets them really because there's the one quote when Connor has a wardrobe malfunction.
Yes.
And then Harry's like, "You were up there for like 10 seconds. It doesn't really matter." And then Connor goes, 10 seconds is an eternity, Harry. It's a third of the way to Mars. And then Harry just goes, "Connor, we've talked about this. 30 Seconds to Mars is the name of a band.
Not a fact.
Like he's had these conversations with Connor before. There's nothing that surprises him when it comes from Connor, which shows more than what you see in the movie how kind of like integrated he is into Connor's life and Owen's life. That I don't know. I just love it, and he's like to me like kind of the heart of the movie in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
He's great.
Yeah. I agree 100%.
And when he ends up signing Hunter because Connor's tour is failing, it's like, yeah, it's kind of like a little backstabby, but like you gotta put food on the table, my guy.
Exactly.
So I don't even blame him.
And
for
he
that.
says, "I have nephews."
Yeah.
I also think that Sarah Silverman's part is really good in this movie. And she, again, is someone who does have Connor's back. Because the whole time you're kind of like, oh, this guy is like falling off the deep end, literally and figuratively.
Yes.
And there's nobody there to kind of support him. His mom's a mess. He has all these people that don't really care, all 36 people on his payroll or whatever. And you see like, oh no, these two actually do care alongside of the other Style Boys.
Yeah.
And I really like that aspect of it. And I think Sarah Silverman does a really nice job of doing that, but still being funny.
To be fair, Sarah Silverman is also on his payroll as his publicist, but
that is true.
She's at least you can tell that she does like him and want the best for him, because I'm sure she could find other clients if she didn't, because this guy
he is a mess.
He's a mess.
What about like the little parts, the tiny little scenes?
Bill
Hader. Bill Hader.
My favorite scene in the movie, I think, is the Bill Hader scene.
Of course it is.
Where Zippy the roadie, and he's like dropping all the guitars, and then he just goes off on a tangent about how he and his friends like to flatline.
Yeah.
Like from Flatliners, the movie. Was it from like the 80s?
Yeah. Joel Schumacher.
Where people,
And when even shouted out the cinematographer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Who was it? I forget who the cinematographer was. But, yeah. So he talks about how he and his friends like to lower their heart rate enough to
the flatline sesh.
To get F-line sesh.
F-line sesh.
And it's just like so out of nowhere that like, I don't know. Every time I watch this movie.
His name is Zippy.
Zippy.
And all he does is like mess up the guitars. They're flying everywhere.
And he's got a big long wig on.
It's good stuff.
He's the best, man. Do you have any others?
I mean, I like everybody in this movie.
John DeBont is the cinematographer. Flatliners.
I think Seal went for it.
There's so many people in this movie that are totally all in.
Yeah, and I love that Seal got attacked by wolves.
Yeah,
well, for apparently the second time.
How did you think I got this scar?
It's so good. It's so good. And you know, I really like everybody that did the little talking heads. I think, people that are
I was
in on the
thinking
joke.
I was thinking ASAP Rocky
ASAP
specifically.
Rocky, Mariah Carey even did a joke about like, oh, I'm the humblest person I know. Like,
And then she was on the stage at the Poppies too.
yep.
She did a little thing with Hunter the Hungry where she chased him off stage.
Emma Stone doing a song that's like really making fun of it while she's doing press for La La Land in
Yes.
real life and about to win an Oscar. Genius.
If I remember correctly, she took like a ton of singing lessons for La La Land before she was getting ready to do it, and I love that part of the fruits of her labor was filming
Doing
the video for Turn Up
Turn
the
Up the
Beef
Beef.
in Popstar at the same year.
It's so good. I love that Pink was in a
during the Equal Rights song where Connor to his lead
kind of
single
like a Macklemore type
Same Love.
thing. Yeah.
His lead single for his second album was about how we should all have equal rights, but the entire time he keeps reaffirming that he's not gay,
Yes.
but that he supports
Yes.
like gay marriage and all that.
Yes.
And Pink is in the chorus,
Mm-hmm.
and it's one of the better songs in the movie for sure.
Yeah. There's just so many good people in it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Adam Levine did pretty well, and I'm So Humble too.
Adam Levine was great.
He's like a
Great.
hologram.
Yeah.
Wait. Also, the CMZ people, the TMZ spoof.
Oh my gosh.
Will
yeah.
Arnett, Chelsea Peretti, Eric
Mike
Andre,
Birbiglia.
Mike Birbiglia.
Yeah.
They just get more and more absurd as the movie goes.
Yeah. Now you mentioned a couple jokes. The 30 Seconds to Mars joke is one of my favorites in the whole thing.
Yeah.
What are some jokes that really stick with you the most from this movie?
A lot of them are in the songs.
Yeah.
Like Finest Girl, I don't think we should.
We're not going to talk about Finest Girl's my favorite. I
If
think
you know,
it's
you know.
the best song, in my opinion.
It's also Yorma Tacconi's favorite.
and it's also extremely inappropriate.
Yeah. But I also don't want to ruin the surprise if you've
Yeah,
never never seen it. Finest Girl is the best song in the movie.
It's Yorma Tacconi's favorite too.
Yeah.
That's funny.
He said it like instantly.
Yeah, it's the best. Something that I really love, and this to me emphasizes the Lonely Island's take on everything.
Is it the Mona Lisa?
Oh
wedding?
no, but we'll talk about
Okay.
that. It's Maya Rudolph is in literally one scene in this movie where she
Yes.
plays Deborah, who is like this, like you mentioned, she's like the person in charge of Aquaspin. It's like she has nothing.
She's
to
like the
do-
sales rep. She's
yeah,
not even
she's
like
the
the
sales rep. She has nothing to do with this movie. She does some crazy stuff in that scene, and then she's gone, like nowhere to be found. Whatever. And then at the end, when they're doing their big performance at the Poppy Awards and everybody's together and it says happy thing, they're backstage, they're all high-fiving, they're all excited. It is literally the last like 45 seconds of the movie. And then it just cuts and it's Maya Rudolph as Deborah. They're laughing. and Andy Samberg's character, he just goes, and why is Deborah here?
and then it just cuts away. Never to be seen again.
It is, that moment was like the highlight of any movie I've ever seen.
We're not going to talk about her first appearance, but
We will not.
also hilarious. I don't know how we're going to get a full episode out of this because there's so much for a family-friendly podcast
Yes.
that we want our children to eventually listen to. There's
Yes.
so much we can't get into.
No. Another thing I really love that was super surprising to me the first time I watched it, and this was one of the scenes that I was like, I can't wait to watch this with you and with other people, is the bee scene.
Oh, I forgot about that.
So Connor's like super depressed and
'Cause
like
his album's doing
really-
terrible.
His album is flopping. He's doing awful, and he's talking to Harry, Tim Meadows,
In his backyard or whatever.
and he like makes the cameras cut, but the audio's still on. So it's a black screen, and you just hear them talking, and they have the like the subtitles up, and they get attacked by like this
Swarm
colony
of
of
bees.
bees. And they end up having to use a flamethrower to kill all the bees, and they're so excited, and they're like, yeah. And then they find out that no, the cameras were down, so they didn't get any of the footage. It's so,
Tell me you got that.
it's so funny. So I really like those jokes. I think that they're hilarious.
I don't know. I think that the whole dynamic between Hunter and Connor is great too.
Yep. It's a power struggle, but
Yeah.
Connor unfortunately is not smart enough to like be able to get the upper hand at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like I think at first they are like legitimately they're like playing video games together. They're playing like Fruit Ninja or whatever the equivalent in the Popstar universe is. And then like as soon as Hunter starts to like get more fans and like sort of overtake his like just, play past his part in the shows, like into Connor's set, like Connor, it's already too late by that point, and Connor doesn't really deal with it extremely well.
No.
But when the two of them are together and they're like messing around, it's great stuff.
It is. I also like Owen is so good in this.
Yes.
I love that he's just such a sweetheart.
Yeah. He's
Like,
so earnest.
Yes. And he opens for Connor, and he also is the DJ for Connor during his sets. And at one scene, they ask like, "Oh, do you use this equipment for Connor?" He's like, "No, I use this iPad or iPod." And then he just has the whole Harry Potter audiobook on it.
Harry P.
And so then there's one scene where everything gets messed up, and then just during the concert, the Harry Potter audio just starts playing.
It's so stupid, but it's so great.
So let's talk about what you mentioned. So Connor is something that I think really is genius about this movie is that there's so many levels to it that on first watch you're not going to catch.
Right.
So to me, one of those OMG moments is Connor, to get kind of more positive PR, decides to propose to his PR girlfriend, Ashley Wednesday. And he hires wolves to be there with Paul Scheer as the wolf handler.
Handler is a loose term.
Yeah,
he doesn't do much handling.
So well. And Seal is there.
Seal is singing this ballad.
Yes, called Ashley Wednesday.
Ashley Wednesday.
And the press is there. It's an E exclusive.
There's like doves and stuff everywhere.
And the best thing about this scene to me,
we have to back up, I think, to explain Mona Lisa.
Well, I'm going to talk about it. The best thing about this scene is not that the wolves escape and chase everybody. It's not that Seal has a great couple lines.
Yeah, and howls.
It's so good.
It's not that Paul Scheer keeps basically saying there's nothing I can do about these wolves.
The best thing is you need to understand and follow the soundtrack to know the song Mona Lisa really well, where
they play it for briefly
a tiny little bit in the movie, but in the soundtrack, if you listen to the whole thing, Connor is talking about how Mona Lisa is a terrible painting.
He's like,
overrated.
He's like, I took a trip, to the Louvre or whatever. I went to see the Mona Lisa. It was super overrated. She looks like crap.
Yes.
Da Vinci, whatever. And then he's like, okay, so that's the first verse. And then he does Mona Lisa, you're overrated, blah, 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 the whole chorus. Then he goes to a second verse where he's like, I went to the pyramids and I was underwhelmed, but it wasn't as bad as the Mona Lisa. And
Mona Lisa's terrible. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're watching the scene where he proposes, Seal is singing the song Ashley Wednesday. It's this beautiful ballad, but it is the same exact melody.
A slowed down melody of Mona Lisa. Yeah.
So in order to propose to his famous girlfriend, he is singing, having Seal sing a song about the Mona Lisa being ugly and awful, but is now repurposing it to propose to his girlfriend.
So hold on.
It's genius. It's just genius. And we didn't catch it until our 80th watch.
It took probably longer than it should have, to be honest with you.
It's so good.
So some of the lyrics in Mona Lisa, I'm just going to give a sampling of the similarity here. The chorus is, I'll give you one of the choruses.
Yeah.
Mona Lisa, you're worse than the pyramids. Can somebody explain why the whole wide world is obsessed with a garbage pail kid? And then in the background,
looks like a garbage pail kid.
And then in Ashley Wednesday, it's Ashley Wednesday, a spectacularly beautiful chick with impeccable style and spectacular eyes. When we met, both of our souls clicked. It's the same tempo.
Same exact thing.
Same tempo. He also says that, oh, you hit me like a ton of bricks with illuminous hair and your sturdy teeth. I want our hearts to be joined at the hip, so to speak.
It's so good. It's so good.
Oh, it's the best.
So, yeah.
That is such a great, this guy is so creatively devoid. Like, he can't come up with anything else.
Yeah, I love
You
it.
know, and that's what he comes up with, and it's the same thing that like people like this song.
No, people don't like the song.
Well, people at the concert like the song.
People at the concert like the song.
But like he can't think of any other way to describe a woman other than the way that he described the Mona Lisa, which in a lot of contexts would be really nice. But not in his.
his. Yeah. So obviously, based on all this creative genius that this movie has come out with, it's shocking that it bombed at the box office because it is close to the perfect movie,
Yeah, if not.
if not the perfect movie. So why do you think this movie bombed back in 2016?
I don't really know. I mean, I remember watching the trailer and being like, I wasn't super into the trailer on TV for sure. I don't know. Maybe is it because it was just kind of past the Lonely Island kind of heyday?
Maybe because Hot Rod was already out.
Yeah.
And
Hot Rod didn't do extremely well
And I
either.
think Hot Rod got a reputation for being one of those like dumb movies.
Grandma's Boy.
Yeah, like kind of in that category, even though it's not really like that.
It's more clever than that.
Yeah. And I think that
Actually, Grandma's Boy's not that bad. I'm just going to say that. But
all these movies are actually excellent.
yeah.
And I think that you have that mixed with, I think that marketing is hard for that type of movie.
It is.
So I'm wondering. It also came out.
We also don't really get like bigger budget comedy movies like this anymore. Like we don't.
It also came out, I think, the same time as the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie and Me Before You, which was big with the romance readers.
Should
People.
that matter?
I think that you might get less. Who's gonna be like, let's go see this movie?
But it's not like it came out at the same time as like an Avengers movie or like got buried underneath something like that. It's like, okay, TMNT is like a reasonably successful property.
Yeah.
In terms of movies. And Me Before You.
Did you see that movie?
I think so. I think we watched it.
Really sad.
Did that have Amelia Clark in it?
Yeah.
I think we did watch it.
The book is like devastating.
I didn't read the book.
It's very sad. This is much more of an upper than that one. But yeah, I don't know. I think that maybe there's not necessarily a built-in audience.
Yeah, that is true.
And I guess
It
word
kind
of
of- it
mouth
kind
just
of-
didn't happen till later.
And with all the celebrity cameos, it kind of like appeals to everybody but nobody at the same time.
Right.
Well, unless you go see it, like I think.
And it's also a known thing that SNL movies don't do super well.
Yeah, that is true.
Right? Other
Yeah.
than like Wayne's World.
Yeah. MacGruber, I think, made less than $1 billion.
Yeah, probably. I think that even Tim Meadows, Ladies Man, didn't do well. They all kind of bomb. That's like a thing.
So Sandberg said he thinks that the marketing turned it into more of a Justin Bieber movie than they intended.
Got it.
He said that it was not necessarily our preference for the marketing to be so Bieber driven, and we really had no specific bone to pick with him. We were more interested in making something that was commenting on the pop machine and the music machine in general and making crazy set pieces within that.
Yeah.
So it could be that. I thought it was heavily Justin Bieber focused.
Mm-hmm.
And it really isn't.
Right.
But again, theatrical comedies haven't done well in a very long time. And this might have honestly been one of the nails in the coffin for that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember exactly what was coming out at that time, but there have not been a whole lot of theatrical comedies the last 10 years or so.
Yeah. I think on the other side, I'm going to ask my last question here, which is, why has this become one of our favorite movies?
I just think it hits like the references I think are on point. Like you can't do this without, and we like pop culture. So we like the people that are in the movie, or at least I like when people make fun of themselves. Like, am I a big Mariah Carey fan? No. But do I think she's great in this movie? Yes, because she knows exactly what she's supposed to be doing, and she's completely in.
Mm-hmm.
And she fits where they put her in the movie perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that they have such a nose for people and for culture and for pop culture and for music that they get where everything fits together. Does every joke hit? Yes. No. Most jokes do
Actually do.
for me, but I can understand why they wouldn't. It's very like of that like Will Ferrell era of comedy,
Mm-hmm,
but like
mm-hmm,
a little bit to the next step
mm-hmm.
where like that's not for everybody, but it is definitely for me.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it has heart too, which I think is the other
That's
big
key.
thing. Like I said, Connor could be a terrible character, a terrible person, but Andy Samberg, I just think is so like precocious.
He has such a like a naive spirit and
Yeah.
like a childhood wonderment
Yeah.
to him, which is so sweet.
And a lot of self-consciousness issues.
Yes.
He's extremely self-conscious.
Yeah.
And he also has the people there that he truly loves. He truly loves Owen. And despite their issues, he truly loves Lawrence. And he loves Harry, and he loves Maximus, his turtle that he's had since he was a kid, which I think Lawrence and Owen gave to him, right?
Yep.
Which is like Justin Bieber's monkey also.
He even on his way to kind of make up with Lawrence had a book on like how to be a better friend.
Yeah.
And Owen's like, and it was all dog-eared, and it made me, I didn't know he could read, so that was very heartening.
Yeah. And also, the movie starts out with home movies of the three of them, which I
Yeah.
think is a good touch.
Yeah.
To get you to be like, okay, this guy, he came from a good spot. Now he's here. Let's break this down. Let's see how he got here. Let's see how we can hopefully fix this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why the movie doesn't lose its heart throughout.
Mm-hmm.
Because even when Connor's at his lowest and his worst, Owen is still there to be
Right.
like supportive and a good friend.
Yeah.
Even when he does his dubstep performance.
So good.
But then they pull incredible thoughts from that. The piano line.
With
so,
another wonderful cameo by Michael Bolton,
Michael Bolton. And Mr. Fish.
And
AKA
Mr. Fish,
Tyrus
Justin-
Quash.
aka
Justin Timberlake.
Yeah, I agree. I also think that the music is legitimately good.
I think it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really fun.
Yeah.
We have some of the songs on our playlist.
Like regular day. Like, yeah.
we would
everyday
just
playlist.
listen to.
Correct.
Yeah. So
Including Finest Girl.
Yeah, which is not on the kids playlist.
It is not on the kids' playlist. However, I will tell you, I found this out. Several of the songs, including Finest Girl, Mona Lisa, Owen's dubstep beat, and Incredible Thoughts, feature Greg Kurstin as the writer and or producer.
Okay.
He is a Grammy winner.
Of course.
He won Producer of the Year, Song of the Year, and Record of the Year for co-writing Hello with Adele.
And you know what? For some reason, that all makes sense to me.
Yeah. So this had Grammy backing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
For 4, memorable songs.
There you go. Yeah. So I will say this. I need to make it clear to anyone listening that you need to watch this movie.
If you have not, yeah.
If you have not, and you are an adult,
You need to rewatch it if you have.
you have to watch it. It is so funny. It is super wonderful. And I think it's going to end up being a how did we miss this movie in a few decades?
I agree.
What questions do you have?
Do you think the movie's references hold up in 2024?
I mean, not all of them.
Yeah, I think largely they do, but the EDM focus is a little bit hyper specific to the 2010s. The Tyler the Creator rip-off stuff from the mid 2010s as well. That was like right around when he was getting big. Maybe a little bit after, but he was still,
Right.
he was still like a horrorcore rapper, not like, Flower Boy and all
Right.
the stuff that came after.
I think that a lot of the specific references are very specifically dated at 2015, 2016.
Yeah.
I personally do not mind that.
No, I don't
because
mind
it
it
is
either.
very of that time, and that was a great time for
And we were
in our
around,
lives. Yeah. I don't think that that's a negative though. I think of This Is Spinal Tap. That is very much of that time.
Yeah.
Do those kind of hair metal rock star? Does that carry through till today? No. But like back then, it was of that time, very specific, and now it seems almost like a little time capsule of that moment.
Yeah.
And pop culture is so moment focused that I like that it's very specific towards that time period.
I'm not sure if I watch this now if I was, let's say, in my early 20s and didn't, like, what is 30 Seconds to Mars?
Yeah.
Like, what are some of these things that I'm not,
Yeah.
that, like, are not really in pop? I mean, 30 Seconds to Mars wasn't in pop culture in 2015. We just know Jared Leto.
Right.
But, like, you know what I mean? I feel like there's some of these that would go over people's heads and
Sure.
whatever. But having been there, having been through this
Oh, yeah.
time, I think that they mostly hit. And even stuff that I wasn't there for, like Tony,
Yeah.
is funny because I know who Tony are.
Right.
Like, it doesn't, some of the things you don't necessarily need to have been there for.
Right. Exactly.
But yeah, no. And I think that the heart and the story sort of overcomes any type of missed references.
It's just a good movie in general. So like even if you don't get a lot of the pop culture references, if you're not super tuned into 2016 popular culture, the movie itself is good anyway.
Nas referencing The Good Wife.
It's Josh Charles on The Good Wife. That's a great joke.
Yeah.
That is an excellent joke.
Yeah. Another little just random joke that I remembered was when A$AP Rocky was talking about the Aquaspin campaign.
Oh yeah, and he has A$AP cereal or
he
whatever.
Was like, I get it. Like you got to try to get your face out there as much as possible. That's why I did A$AP Lunchables.
That's it, yeah. So good.
A$AP Crunchables, I think it was. I just wrote down some notable scenes that I wasn't sure we were gonna get to. What did you think of starting with "I'm So Humble"?
It's perfect.
Right. It sets the tone for him
Mm-hmm.
as a character completely.
Number one, it sets the tone for him as a character. Number two,
it might be the best song.
That's my other
soundtrack.
thing. I think that "I'm So Humble" is actually, it could have been on the radio.
Yeah.
And that kind of sets the tone where it's like, oh, this is somebody who actually has star power.
Yeah.
And you could see everyone and all the fans going crazy and whatever.
And he's like bouncy and it's fun and
and Adam Levine's in it, and so he's still a well-known person today, but back then, oh my God, superstar, right? So I think
Payphone had recently come out a couple of years prior.
So I think it was the perfect song, and it of course gives you that glimpse into Connor's personality right away.
Not only the fact that he kind of is arrogant, or that he's trying to portray someone who's arrogant, but that there is that overcompensation the entire time.
And delusion
the entire time. But the delusion is kind of like almost like you gotta act the part without actually being the part. And he definitely acts the part.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, and if you go through, I'm looking at the "I'm So Humble" lyrics right now. They're just so good. Because obviously, if you don't know the song, the whole thing is him talking about how he's so humble and how, all the success hasn't gotten to his head, but it's there. But it's kind of like a backhanded thing. I think it's very,
Genius.
very funny. It's very funny to start off with. Bar none, I am the most humblest. Number one at the top of the humble list is how he starts the first verse. What else? The Aquaspin we talked about. Oh, equal rights at the end when Ringo Starr is like, I don't know why he decided to put that song out because, gay marriage is legal now.
So good.
It's one of those things, again, kind of making fun of Same Love, specifically by Macklemore. Right. How, yes, of course, there's a lot of challenges still facing LGBT people.
Of course.
But Connor's putting this out there because he wants an easy PR.
That's
win.
it. He wants to be part of that social issues kind of world, but doesn't know anything that he's talking about. So he's doing kind of something that he's like, oh, well, that'll get me some good press without necessarily understanding
and
everything.
Wanting to be sure that people didn't think that he was gay, which is homophobic in itself.
Exactly.
And there's a part of the song at the end where he says, I'm a hero. I'm not a hero. I'm not a hero. Don't call me a hero.
Yes.
And then she sings, I'm not a hero. And he says, I'm just a regular person or whatever in the background. Like he's trying to make people put him up on a pedestal.
So good.
Remember when he fights Martin Sheen?
Oh yeah, he does fight Martin Sheen.
But Martin Sheen's not in the movie.
But he is in the movie.
But it's like is it CMZ segment where they show him fighting Martin Sheen?
Yeah,
and
he
Martin
just
Sheen's
Martin Sheen
beating him up.
Yeah.
That was after he's kind of had his downward spiral.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, he does fight Martin Sheen.
I just wrote that down. Remember when he fought Martin Sheen?
So random.
Oh, what about when Owen parent traps?
Yeah.
Connor and Lawrence.
Yeah. Owen thinks that no one knows about the movie The Parent Trap.
I was watching this movie the other night, and it's called The Parent Trap.
Little known movie.
And he's like, the two girls. He didn't even say Lindsay Lohan or like.
Yeah, he didn't know that it was just Lindsay Lohan.
Yeah.
He tries to parent trap Lawrence and Connor, and guess what? It works.
It works.
Yeah. And they're like, you trying to parent trap us?
Yeah. He's like, no. And then they record some tracks together.
Yeah.
And then we can talk about the poppies a bit at the end. So Hunter is up presenting an award with Mariah Carey, and he does an Aquaspin ad while he's presenting with her, and she's like, you're not doing ads now, are you? Because he's such a sellout.
Yeah.
He was this hardcore underground rapper, and now he's at basically the VMAs doing an ad for a appliance company. Mariah Carey like scares them off stage. Then we got the Style Boys, of course, performed because Taylor Swift was found guilty of murder, arrested for murder. So there was an open spot, so they get the Style Boys on there. And not only do they do the donkey roll, which we have not talked about at all.
With Usher.
With Usher, who said the donkey roll is
That's the reason I dance.
That's the reason I dance.
Yep. And then they do Incredible Thoughts with Michael Bolton.
Which they came up with on Lawrence's farm.
Yes. That's it.
Yep. His plants were helpful in that process. And that's like kind of the end. Like they are on stage, and then why is Deborah here? Yeah, no. So, do you have any other scenes you want to talk about?
I mean, I think the only things I would want to talk about are other songs that we really like. So one of the songs that I really enjoy is "Me Like You That."
Me Like You That,
which is one of the Style Boys songs, and that is where you definitely see the Beastie Boys influence.
Yeah. So apparently, when they were recording all the celebrity confessional kind of scenes, they told them like, we're making something like pretend this is the Beastie Boys. And that's kind of where all these come from. And they said they have every person that they sat down with, they have like 30 minutes to an hour of them talking about the movie, talking about the Style Boys or about Connor or about whatever they're assigned to talk about. And I would love to see all that footage. But
me too.
Most people get like less than a minute.
Truly. There are some people that get like 5 seconds.
Mariah Carey's thing is the one confessional, and then she's on stage at the end.
That's it. Yeah. Carrie Underwood gets like 2 seconds. Arcade Fire, I don't even think they say anything. I think they just do the dance, do the donkey roll. So yeah, there's some people that get a lot more. Nas gets a couple of great lines.
He does. A$AP Rocky.
RZA gets a few, and DJ Khaled gets a couple.
He does.
So
Ringo
does.
Questlove gets a few.
Mm-hmm. So I really like Me Like You That. And then there's
so Yorma actually said that they had to cut a few more people. They had to cut Dave Franco, Ryan Phillippe, and Ed Sheeran.
Oh man.
And he was like, Akon was supposed to be in it more, but he's only in like a brief like
Akon
scene.
has a song with Connor about having multiple houses.
Well, it's about how it's called Should I Move?
Yeah.
And Connor's like trying to debate whether he should buy this house, and then at the end he buys the house, and he's like, and now I have 2 houses. It's like you think he's like,
yeah. So there's actually a couple songs that get a brief moment in the movie, but like I said earlier, maybe play in the background, or in Should I Move, it's not even the song that plays, but you see him with Akon.
Yeah. He said that Andy Samberg also said that they were obviously influenced by Christopher Guest and a lot by Sacha Baron Cohen, Borat movies, and Jackass.
Sure.
And so he was like, we wanted to cut it to make sure that it was short and sweet like that. And he said the cost of that was cutting some babies we loved.
Yeah, totally. There's some other songs that are really good. The one about the kids.
Yes.
I forget what it's called.
We can't say it.
Got it. And there's a couple of they almost feel like bonus tracks. Where
legalize it.
Yeah, they're not in the movie.
Which is in the credits. But.
Yeah. But they're actually really funny.
Yeah.
So I definitely recommend checking out the soundtrack itself.
Yeah, it's again 49 minutes of your day.
Yeah, and it's like 30 songs.
I found an article about how they got some people, because some people you're like, how, like,
yeah.
So Mariah Carey, they said they lucked out. She had the same manager as T.I., who I think was in it for a second.
Okay.
Oh yeah, because when they're at the one club.
Yeah, he was at the club
with Hunter and Connor, and the DJ's like, T.I.'s in the building.
Yep.
And then he calls out Hunter but doesn't call out Connor. So I guess they were talking to T.I. about being in the movie, and Yorma was talking to the manager and was like, who else do you have?
That's smart.
And then they found out that he represented Mariah Carey as well. And Yorma said, we were all so excited having grown up with her music, and you don't know who's going to be good when they show up, but the fact that she was really funny and willing to say whatever, it's always a nice moment when you're like, this is stuff that's definitely going to end up in the movie.
Yeah.
They talked about DJ Khaled. He says basically every person in the movie had an hour plus sit down with them, and some famous folks came prepared to improvise, and he said that you can tell DJ Khaled really put it in his own words.
I love it.
Seal, Andy Samberg called him. Yorma was like, we wrote the script and then we were like, who would be cool in this? I don't know, Seal.
And he is. It's a really good scene.
Yorma was like, we didn't know him. We didn't know if he had like a sense of humor like that. We didn't know if he would get it.
He got it.
But Andy Samberg said he was the loveliest guy. I called him and he was in the studio at the time recording his latest record. And he was very focused on that. So I chatted with him about his album for a while. And then I was like, well, yeah, we'll make it work for your schedule, which is what you say because it's true. And he was like, okay. And then he came and crushed it. And the last one is Justin Timberlake. Actually, no. 4th out of 5 is Justin Timberlake. 4th one, Andy Samberg said, I texted him.
Yeah, they're friends.
Yeah, he said he's busy, but he made it work. He's a good buddy. And Yorma said he knows that no matter what, he's kind of trapped because the people who go see the movie are going there hoping he's in it and disappointed if he's not because they knew that he was friendly with them. And Ringo Starr, Judd Apatow, texted him.
Yeah, we said like Judd Apatow probably has some pull.
The people who are like the next level up, I feel like are Judd people because he's just like on another level in terms of contacts in Hollywood, especially by this point.
That's cool. Is that from an article?
USA Today.
Nice.
And they also, in a different article on hypable.com, they did an interview and they talked about how much they loved, of course, Michael Bolton.
Of course.
Who worked with them a bunch of times.
They did like that Jack Sparrow song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was another one, wasn't there?
Yeah.
I forget.
I think so. I will say this, when we're rich, we're going to rent out a movie theater and we're going to put on Popstar and have all of our friends there so we can watch it in a movie theater.
We're going to spread the word. Well, actually, once this episode hits 1 million listens, we'll do a Q&A.
Oh, okay.
We'll do a whole thing. We'll bring in Andy and Yorma and Akiva.
We'll text them.
Yeah, and then we'll screen it. We'll spread the gospel.
Yeah.
So it's got to hit 1 million.
Yeah. So we'll hit that in about a week.
Yeah, a week or so. Yeah. So that is Popstar. This movie's just the best. Watch it if you have not, and if you have not, and you've gotten this far, you will like it.
Yes.
And if you have, rewatch it because we just did for the
we watch it every 6 months to a year
or two, yeah,
and it holds up
totally. And we rented it.
Yeah, and we will rent it every time if we have to.
We'll still spend money on it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that was our 100th episode. We did Barbenheimer, so really this is.
And then we did a bunch of other episodes too.
Yeah, but this is what we are considering our 100th episode.
It's our 100th episode.
It's close to our 2-year anniversary too of the podcast.
Yep.
And it's close to the full circle part of our second baby because we started this around when our first baby was coming.
Yep.
So,
and we are not going to have any more babies.
And we're done. But we're not done with the podcast.
No.
So we don't have an episode next week, of course. We don't have an episode the week after that or the week after that.
Mm-mm.
But we will be back in the fall. So please follow us on Instagram at Baby's First Watchlist. That's where most of our... I plan on getting a website kind of set up in the meantime. But for now, follow us on Instagram. Then for, clips, we're on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all at Baby's First Watchlist. And thank you so much for anyone who's been along for the ride with us, whether you listen to one episode or 100 or 105 or however many we have with the additional ones. We appreciate you guys, and we hope you'll still be here when we get back.
Well, and you know what? I really enjoy doing this because it is sort of a time capsule for us.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited to be able to look back on some of these in the future and have our sons look back at them. But since it is a time capsule, please wish me well the next week. I need to make it to Saturday before I go into labor.
Yes. So next week is Aaron's sister's wedding.
That you're
Kaylee's
officiating.
Wedding, that I'm officiating.
And I'm giving a speech at.
Correct.
So we're going to try. I mean, I've been saying this whole pregnancy, our timing was not ideal. I'm saying we're going to make.
Did you say the due date? So the due date is in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And the wedding is next week.
Yeah, it's 7 days before the due date.
Yes.
So send good thoughts.
Yeah, please do. But yeah, again, thank you guys for being along for the ride, and we hope that we we're still gonna be posting and stuff on social media and everything. So we're gonna be active and around, but no new episodes till the fall, and then stay tuned there and we'll figure out what our first theme is and who's gonna be on with us and what movies we're gonna do. So
fun.
Yep. So yeah, we will see you guys soon.
Bye.
See ya.